Good afternoon. It's time to open the June version of the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority. Welcome. Our chairman is not here today, so I have no items myself. Under item 2A, are there any updates from any committee activities that anybody cares to report on? And if none, are there any on maps 3 from any subcommittee activities?
There's going to be a meeting next week, and they're rebidding the lighting, hoping to get better right. Information in. And other than that, I think it'll just be updates on all the additions.
Mr. Chairman, I might add that interviews have been scheduled for the Whitewater, to select a consultant for the Whitewater facility, and I think they'll be held the first or the second week in July, on the 13th of July.
Any other comments about subcommittee meetings from anyone? Not, we'll move to number 3, minute meetings. Any additions or corrections to the minutes of May 22nd? Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Excuse me. Moving to item 4, the consent docket. We have 2 items, the sand mining and oil revenue report, and also the river corridor events update. Anybody want anything highlighted there, or do we have a motion for that? Been moved and seconded. Record your vote, please. Item is approved. Item 5 is to receive the unaudited interim financial statement for the period ending April the 30th, 2012. Been moved and seconded. Any comments? Pat, on the financial statements, you have any comments you want to add? It's been moved and seconded. No. All right. Record your vote, please. Item is approved. Moving to item B is to receive a report on the quarterly meeting of the Oklahoma River Stockholders Group. Are you giving a report there, Pat?
Yes, we held a meeting of the stakeholders. It was actually one of the better attended in terms both of the number of people, and I think we're starting to gather more steam. One of the subject matters that was in focus this time around was the equestrian facility. And this is a project that has been of great interest to the Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Commission, as well as other elements within the community, the Chamber. The city's park staff is involved. So I think what we're building with the stakeholders group is an organization that can spawn and kick off a number of projects, and we're starting to see that with respect to this equine facility.
Any questions of Pat?
Mr. Chairman, may
Yes.
I go back and ask a question about the financial statements?
Okay.
I'm sorry I missed that, and it's really just, it's a remark that was made in the letter of transmittal. And if I can find my page, it was just a teeny bit disquieting. I'm hoping it doesn't mean what the words say it does. But the second paragraph says the net assets at April 30th totaled $3,700,000 for a decrease of $185,000. But it goes on to say, overall, the financial position declined in the current year. Does that indicate that the activity just declined a little bit and not that the financial condition of the entity has declined?
I think it's probably the activity level, but I would defer to the accounting staff for the reason for that particular comment.
It's not the most positive remark with regard to financial statements. This is on page 2. It's the letter of transmittal from Accounting Services that's dated June 19th. Paragraph 2, where it begins with net assets.
Ma'am, would you come to the microphone?
I'm sorry.
I'm new to this. I apologize. I'm Donna Henson.
Hi, Donna. I'm sorry to catch you, and I know we'd already gone by it, but this is just the second paragraph on page 2, where it talks about the change in net assets. And then the second sentence just reads...
Okay,
yeah.
I apologize. I was looking at 3 and I kept thinking,
Yeah.
okay. The decrease, and it did decline, and
So I guess what I'm hoping is that means just that the dollar number declined, not that the financial condition of the entity declined.
It's just the dollar amounts that declined, and it's due to the decrease in AR and investments, and that's where it was breaking down into the last 10 months comparable to the prior year.
Okay,
And
that's kind of a scary sentence.
Yeah, no, that's not what that's saying. So you're
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Back on the stakeholders meeting, is there a motion? Are you finished, Pat? Excuse me.
I am subject to any questions or comments.
Any questions, Pat, on the stakeholders meeting? Is there a motion to receive? Been moved and seconded. Cast your vote, please. Item is approved. Item C is to receive final plans and specifications for improvements to the south bank of the Oklahoma City River. This is the Meridian Landing Promenade.
Mr. Chairman, we have Brian Haskins from Public Works and Jerry Crone from C.H. Guernsey. I think Mr. Crone is going to make some comments. Okay. I think they have a short presentation to make.
Good afternoon. This is I think this is our 4th or 5th time up here, so I'm hoping we got it right this time. What I wanted to show is kind of where we were at. We had meetings with Parks and Public Works, and we took some comments from you and incorporated them and made a few changes into our plan, and we wanted to kind of walk through that. If it helps, I can go back. I did include kind of where we were and then kind of show you where we are now. This is where we are now. You can see that really the only thing that has changed with this plan from the previous plan is that we are going to we're not going to grade the riverbank. We're not going to scrape the riverbank like we had originally intended to do. And I think when we started doing some drilling and trying to take some core samples, we were getting about 3 inches deep before we were hitting rebarred concrete. That whole side is kind of urban renewal. We know the hotels had to over-excavate about 30 feet down because they were running into giant chunks of concrete to build on. We thought that if we were going to start running into those things, it could interfere with our costs and those things. So what we've done is we're going to keep the riverbank natural. You've got a lot of trees and a lot of things that are there that are actually pretty nice. And what we're going to do is, as the promenade will push closer to the hotels, we're then offsetting about 20 feet, and we're going to have these little natural viewing patios that have an enhanced landscape around them, and then just kind of a buffer, a Bermuda with a mow strip in between the two. That will separate our naturalized area from our built area. The plaza stays the same. The parking lot, we had some comments from the River Trust about some planting plans, I think about 6 months ago, and we changed those that day and incorporated those changes into our plans. That's the plan. As we move forward, kind of the same look is what we're hoping for, some exciting lighting, some interesting paving, and concrete elements that are going to go to that. Our wall, our river overlook, kind of our big wow piece, is our river with a really nice enhanced railing. The idea is that we're going to light the front of that from the water, so it'll be the wall will be washed in light. We've also have some lighting on our railing, and I can show you a little bit more about that. Here's a rendering of just a plan view of our lighting plan, and we're going to have down the promenade there'll be pedestrian level lighting. And then we'll have some inset lighting in some of our seat walls, and then, again, illuminating the front of our wall. So the river cruisers, as they come up the water, will have something to arrive to, really create that interesting node on the river. It'll be able to be seen from the Meridian Bridge to help pull people down there. This is where we were, and you can see we were going to regrade the entire riverbank in that area, and then replant some trees and some other elements there. We've kind of worked with parks and talked about maintenance and how we can make this more feasible. This is where we were in 2009, I believe, so it was different. And then here are some of the sections that go through to show you some of the slopes. The sculpture element is not there, but I wanted you to see kind of the river. The grading will be very similar to what you see in those sections at that point. So moving back a little bit to the plan view, there we are. I think this project is really getting more exciting with the advent of the MAPS 3 trail improvements that are going to happen at the end of this. That parking lot is going to be full all the time because it's the closest place to park to get to Oklahoma City and then to get to Lake Overholser. So it's a really exciting project. I'm really excited. I've been working on this thing for about 4 years now, so it's morphed and changed for the better, I think, and it's looking good. One of the things that's not included that I think is a little bit, I'm supposed to be able to control this mouse, but it's not showing up. But at the dock where the boats park, we were just looking at that in a schematic sense of what maybe could be there someday. That was part of our scope. So all of that kind of faded back area north of the parking lot and east of the plaza is just kind of pie in the sky. What could happen there? How could we make that better? And that's what that is talking about. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does there remain a place to place public art, should someone want to do that?
Yes, we would love the plaza is just built for a piece of art. I mean, I think if we could get something vertical in that plaza to really, you can imagine coming down the river on one of those boats at night, that's really dressing those things up, and you've got this beautiful piece of sculpture, the lighting, you've got hotels that are active, and you've got people out. I think it really could help spur some of the Western development, if you will. We would love help with a piece of sculpture if someone knew how to make that happen. But right now we don't have that. But man, that'd be great. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we had a meeting last week, and Pat was involved in it with some of the stakeholders on the Meridian Hospitality Corridor. Mm-hmm. And in that meeting, one thing that came out, they wanted to make the trails more accessible to the people who stayed in the motels.
Yes.
What I see here, going from the Meridian, the landing itself, going to the left in front of those hotels is what I'm presuming is going to be the Oklahoma Trail for the Oklahoma River.
Yes.
And then it's shown as a circle, and I'm assuming that this perpendicular gray thing right next to the end of the slide is what the bridge is.
Yes, to the far
to the far left or the west.
Yes, that's I don't know where that bridge, the pedestrian bridge, is happening. I know it's kind of happening at the end of this somewhere. We're not involved with the MAPS 3 trails. We're not building that piece.
Okay, but there's going to be either a widening of that bridge or a new pedestrian bridge put in.
Yes.
Okay? And that has to be, because it not then is coordinated with what goes on here, with what goes on there.
Yes, sir. And as part of our scope, we had been working with Triad and Tetra Tech. When we did our grading, we have been passing information back and forth to them so they would know where we're at our grades, so we could make it possible for them to either, at one time, it was going to go under Meridian Bridge, stay on the south side of the river, and then we have just kind of learned that it was going to go over the bridge. So they're set up to receive there with a set grade, and they have our information to make that happen, hopefully in a pretty seamless way.
So I guess the answer to my question, you guys are coordinating so that what is done to the bridge and what's done to the continuation of the Oklahoma Trail will match up with what you're doing right here.
Hopefully they will tie into us. I think we're going to be there first probably, but hopefully they'll be able to tie into us.
I don't like the word hopefully. I would prefer a much more positive answer that it will.
I will give you this. They do have our information, and I think they're planning on tying into our set grades, and that way we'll be able to do a seamless transition. So when you are on your bicycle and you're going down the promenade and you hit that turnaround where you could either turn around or possibly go to the bridge, they'll be able to do that not hopefully, but in an ADA accessible way.
But I don't see anything on this schematic here that talks about the ease of getting from the hotels, like the Embassy Suites, to the eastern portion of the trail down here.
Right, and one of the things that we had tried to do when we worked early on with the hotel development, before this, they had their dumpsters and they had driveways in the back of their hotels. And we begged them to not do that, so I ran home and I reconfigured their parking so they get the same parking counts and get rid of their drives and allow us to push our promenade closer so people could use that promenade either coming in or going out. We were asking them, gosh, you guys got to have a restaurant or a bar in there. I mean, this is, activate the space. You guys are a huge opportunity. We've worked with them. We are pushing that promenade closer. They do have a fence up. We're moving the fence. It'll be up to them. We would love it if they would put a gate or just open their fence up to allow people to walk straight onto the promenade and out to the plaza to do the river overlook or enjoy those natural viewing patios. We welcome and encourage that. Yeah, it would be really at that point it's kind of up to them. They've been a little. We haven't talked to them in a while about how we might work together to get people to move back and forth through there. If that makes sense, we just have, it's not necessarily been our scope, I guess, is what you'd say.
Well, I guess a lot of it goes into in Public Works as they design that at that South Meridian streetscape project. Part of that is to encompass working on either a pedestrian bridge or widening the existing bridge, is what I was told.
That's correct, and which one of those happens, I'm not
No, I don't
sure,
think they-
but I can assure you that we will instruct the MAPS, getting back to your original question, the MAPS 3 engineering firm that's working on that trail will coordinate with this project. The finished product will be seamless.
And I hope both that engineering firm that's working on the MAPS 3 and Public Works looks at the accessibility from the hotels along South Meridian to get to the trails, because that's really an asset that I don't think we've fully explored yet, and that's going to be a tremendous asset to those people along there.
Okay.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think I'd just like to mention one thing is in February it went to the River Design Committee, and I was very frustrated about it because they graded all the way down to the water, and I saw no way how somebody could maintain it. I applaud going back in and trying to figure this out, because I think this is a lot more manageable. I mean, at that time, nobody could even answer to me who was going to maintain it, and ultimately, if it can't be maintained, there's no reason for us to even put them in, because it just won't. So I think this makes a lot more sense in terms of how you all have addressed it. I think it's manageable. I know that Parks is involved with it. Wendell, you've been on the review of this now, right? And that's just essential on this property. The one question I would have, and I don't know, it has bounced back and forth. It was at River Trust, then it was at River Design, and it was supposed to be completely final, which it wasn't, and now it's back here. It has been a little confusing for us at River Design to know where this goes, and then when we got this, and this is not being critical of Guernsey, but then you get the specs, and the only specs that are included is the underground sprinkler system and the cast-in-place concrete, which to me is a little awkward if you're looking at the whole project, because the only thing you're getting is one little tiny piece of it, and if we're doing a final approval, I would really like there to be some clarification, and there's several of us on the River Design Group that are somewhat concerned about where these things bounce around, and I'm not sure. I don't think it comes from the consultant. I know, Pat, you addressed in that letter, but when I had called Ron and or emailed him and just asked about it, he said, no, this shouldn't be this way. So it would be really helpful if we could get some clarification on how projects like this would go forward. But I applaud Guernsey on this project. I mean, it looks good with what we see and what we're able to review.
And I think that's one of the cool things about the project is if you get a chance to go out there, the existing conditions are they're beautiful, and we really do have a living river out there, and this is the spot. So, with a little tree trimming and a little cleaning up, and opening up some of those view corridors, I think this is a really neat project for people to really start you know, the east side of the river is great. It's active. There's all this awesome stuff going on down there. This is kind of our passive piece, you know, and it's a neat opportunity to help people learn about their native riparian environment, because we have a lot of it in Oklahoma, and the more we know about it, the more we'll do to take care of it. So I think this is a great project for that. So. Any other questions?
Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion? Been moved and seconded. I'll record your votes. Items approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item D is recommend to the City Council to approve a revocable permit for the Oklahoma City Boathouse Foundation for the Stars and Stripes River Festival. That's June 30th, July 1. Been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? If not, record your vote, please. Item is approved. Moving to item Section 6, claims. Questions on the claim docket by anyone? Been moved and seconded. Would you record your vote? Item is approved. Moving to Section 7, comments by the staff. Pat, do you want to visit with us about your development report?
Sure, Mr. Chairman and trustees, your report is in the packet. A couple of items to draw to your attention. One is we've had a pretty busy couple of months here between a number of championship-level events in rowing, canoe, and kayak, and then culminating a couple of weekends ago with the national drag boat races held on the river. So things tend to normally slow a little bit, but they really have not this year, and we project a very robust and busy season. Owen Morrell, our sculptor for the Compass Rose project, keeps in touch with me and others within city government on a weekly basis at this point, providing detailed drawings and documents on not only the sculpture, but how it will actually be disassembled and then put back into one piece on site. They're working on the base. Public Works is coordinating the plaza in which this sculpture will be placed. So a lot of progress to report there. And then last but not least, I think it's important for this group to, I'm sure you all noticed that Bill Swisher passed away earlier this month. And what many probably do not know or may not know is that Bill was among the very first chamber presidents, and I think he was state fair president for a while, to really embrace the notion of redoing and beautifying the Oklahoma River. What then was just the North Canadian River and then was a drainage ditch back in the very early 80s. And he put his money where his mouth is. He contributed, I think it's just under 20 acres of CMI property that adjoins the North Canadian River out just south of Lake Overholser, out where their plant is located. So I wanted everyone to know that with Mr. Swisher's passing, that he does have a tie to this group and to the project that you shepherd along. So with respect, I wanted to let you know that. Otherwise, would submit the report and request that it be received as submitted.
Any questions, comments on the report? Is there a motion to receive it? Second? Been moved and seconded. Record your vote. Item is approved. Any comments by anyone on the trust like to bring forward?
I might just comment two quick things. I really want to compliment the River Trust for hosting the Dead Center Film Festival opening night, despite the fact that it was pouring rain. There were, a couple of hundred folks out there. They had it set up to show a movie on the big jumbotron across the river. It was available for people, had they wanted to take out kayaks and watch the movie, from the river. It was a very, very creative event, and next year the weather will be beautiful and it will solve some of those other problems. And then just a quick giggle, the sound from those drag boats was so loud. I kept wondering from Park and Robinson what the heck was going on, and I suddenly realized it was drag boat races in the river. It was amazing.
Any other comments from anyone? Anybody in our audience like to bring anything before the trust? We'll call the motion adjourned. The meeting adjourned, excuse me.